You can lose your money, and if you keep your integrity, someone will always back you. But if you keep your money and sell out your integrity, you'll never get it back.
You can have a lot of mistakes in your career, but if you live your life with high integrity, you're always going to have opportunity. I love you for so many reasons, but the one that inspires me the most are the obstacles. So how do you get through them? How do you fight through things like that? You know, you are somebody, you know, I have a lot of resilience. I've been fired from the White House. I've had ups and downs in my political and business career. But there are certain principles that you've distilled from the masters, let's call them the masters, on resilience and dealing with obstacles. So what are they, Jay?
Well, the first one, and I can tell a great story that I think it embodies it. The first one is that your problem is always going to be the solution to somebody else's bigger problem or opportunity. You just have to figure out who it is and what it is and how to make sure it's articulated. And I'll give you a simple story because I love storytelling, and you and I both know that metaphorically the brain works better. So when I used to do seminars all over, and you can stop me anyway because you know I go on a tangent, and you can just intervene and go stop. When I used to do seminars in Asia, the first time I ever went to one of the countries, I do this 3-day, very expensive seminar. At the end, I always did through translation Q&A. So this guy comes to the mic, and through translation, he goes, "What do you do if you're too small and the bank won't lend you money to grow?" And I said, "Well, okay, tell me more." And he goes, "I'm a small local motorcycle manufacturer in China. I don't deal with China anymore, but we did then. And you know, only in China where you got 100 million population, would you literally have a small local motorcycle manufacturer?" He said, "If I had the money, I'd go all over Asia. I'd find a city, open a big factory, hire salespeople in every country, recruit dealers." And I said, "Okay, what's the problem?" And he got very frustrated through translation and went, "I told you they won't loan me money." I said, "You don't need money. You just need to figure out what you're the solution to. Go all over Asia, find somebody who's got a complementary business that's not competitive, but has already got a huge factory that's underutilized, has salespeople, has dealers, and partner with them." And it took me 2 minutes. The next time I came back a year later, he comes to the mic. I'm trying to underscore my point. I hope I'm not being tangential.
Not at all.
He said, "I did what you said." And I said, "What'd you do?" He goes, "I went there. I went all over Asia. When I got to Malaysia, KL, I found the largest lawnmower manufacturer. They had a huge factory, underutilized second shift. We made a deal. I had to bring tools and dies. It's just the metal that forms the parts that make the assembly that produces the product." And he said they had representation in 10 countries. They had offices, they had salespeople, they had thousands of dealers. He said in our first year together, we both netted $20 million apiece. So the first thing is, slow down. Somebody else probably has a bigger problem or latent opportunity you could solve. The second is, because I have been involved in over 1,000 industries, not businesses, I've seen optionality that blows your mind. Most people, I created something called funnel vision as opposed to tunnel vision. It's predicated on the fact that you have an infinite number of ways to do anything, but you probably don't have the exposure to some of the higher, faster, safer ways to do it. Most people get frustrated. They get disenchanted. They get turned off. They get stymied or constrained because they only have a certain number of options in their reference base. So I'd say to everybody, you got to expand your knowledge base of what's possible, because there's a lot more ways to get at it, and there's a lot more steps. And that's the second thing. I would say, I remember a book that Fran Tarkenton wrote years ago, right when he had done a public company that blew up, and it was called Failure is Not Permanent. You know, it really isn't permanent. I mean, I remember reading another book. It said that when you're down, you're only down for the count if that's the way you want to be. You have free will, and there's plenty of ways. Another thing, this is very important because a lot of young people don't know this. I've had all these mentors. I have knowledge because I had the good fortune of being in a lot of industries, but more importantly, I've helped over 300 of the top world experts, and none of them came to me for help with their methodology, but I had to learn a distillation. So I got all these wonderful integrated knowledge. But somebody who was a mentor of mine once said when I was young, because I was very, very, very aggressive and I could have gone to the dark side. And he said, "You can lose your money, and if you keep your integrity, someone will always back you." But if you keep your money and sell out your integrity, you'll never get it back. And that was a profound statement. I've always tried to always really contribute, and I've been driven by trying to support people who were on a mission or a crusade to bring true value creation to others and what it really meant, whether it means filling a void, whether it means bringing a level of product service or frictionless transaction to people. So I don't know if I'm giving you tangential answers or relevant ones.
No, listen, it's very helpful. And I think the point about integrity can't be overstated. You can have a lot of mistakes in your career, but if you live your life with high integrity, you're always going to have opportunity.